Hey everybody, welcome back to Two Nerds and a Podcast. Today we're talking about one of my favorite movies that just came out with a sequel, and that is Beetlejuice 2. Or Beetlejuice.
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 If they make a third one, we're all going to be summoning Beetlejuice.
Oh my god. They should make a third one.
They should just call it B3. Mr. Juice. Mr. Juice 3.
Mr. Juice. But I am a huge Beetlejuice fan. I love the original. I could watch the original every day. It's so good. The cast is phenomenal, and that is one thing that I loved about this sequel is they brought back some of the original cast, which is Chef's Kiss.
Love when they do that.
What were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was okay. I mean, it was a good enough sequel that I'll probably watch it again at some point, or it'd be one of those movies if it's on TV, then I'll watch it. The main thing that I thought is it suffered from the really long gap in between 1 and 2, where they wanted to reference the first movie because it's been so long that they want you to go, oh yeah, that was in the first one and that. But I felt like they did that too much. It was almost like they were trying to copy paste and not they changed the song or changed little things, but it felt very they were trying too hard to be remember when this happened in the first one? Remember when this happened in the first one? Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, though, 10 out of 10. He is
fantastic.
Beetlejuice.
Absolutely. Forever and always.
Yeah. I was also kind of disappointed that, because typically with sequels, when they've had such a big age gap, it normally turns into passing the baton to the younger generation.
Yeah.
But Winona Ryder firmly held on to that baton. She was not going to give it to Jenna Ortega. That was her baton. She wasn't giving it up. Because I remember Wyatt asked me, he goes, so how was Jenna Ortega? And I go, she wasn't really in the movie. She was in it, but it wasn't about her.
Right, but she wasn't a main focus of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was still very much about Lydia Dietz. It wasn't about her daughter, Astrid, or anybody else. It wasn't even about Beetlejuice. It was still very much about Lydia.
Also, it's so crazy seeing Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
Now, because all I see is Joyce.
Yes. Yeah, you're just Joyce, what are you doing there?
Yeah, and I'm it's just I will always love Winona Ryder. She is phenomenal. I love her. I think she did an amazing job.
Yeah, she's perfect at playing the characters that are unusual and strange. That's just
not all together there.
Yeah. She does it so well, and she has the best facial expressions for characters like that, because I feel like some actors,
oh my god, yes,
they don't get it quite right, but she's just got this look in her eyes. Slightly crazy, but also completely sane, you know?
And that's just her facial expressions. I saw a video of her at an award show, and she's just, her face is just going off, and I'm she does amazing facial expressions. I love her. Her and Michael Keaton, man.
Yeah.
They're great together.
Yeah, so this movie, I feel like if they had, which myself and I was on a podcast, which by the time this goes up would have been about a week ago, for Ghost Head Nerd Talk podcast. We did talk about Beetlejuice. Casey missed it because she had to work.
Yeah.
Which is lame. Gosh darn you, retail. I don't even remember where I was going with this. Oh, I remember now. I got it. This movie had 4 different stories happening simultaneously, which
that
as a movie doesn't like, and it's not even like a long movie. It was an hour and a half, I think. So it was like rushed. Some
Mm-hmm.
of it was
Oh
really
yeah.
rushed. Some of it was really slow. And you just had to like keep track. It didn't feel like, I think if they had picked one thing to like super focus on.
Right. Like I think it was definitely like all over the place. Like it was hard to keep track. Like I think that they could have done without like the ex-wife stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, that was really, and then like they like had to wrap stuff up so quickly. Like when she
Mhm.
went to the underworld and was not able to come back, and then like all of a sudden like,
Mhm.
oh, it was fine, she's back, it's fine, and it was like this huge
Yeah.
deal that she was like not able to
That
come
her
back, and
soul
then
was
she
gonna, yeah.
yeah, and then it's like, oh no, okay, she's just back now, all right, oh that's cool, okay, it was that easy, like
Yeah. Yeah. The loopholes galore in this movie. And then
oh
it's like
yeah.
sometimes Beetlejuice felt like he had like no power, and then other times it felt like he was too overpowered because he could just like
Mhm.
snap his fingers and people, and I'm like, wait, what is his limitation? Because that's the thing about like
What's going on
magic
here?
and like the supernatural in general, is there's normally a limitation. You
Mhm.
don't just have like unlimited power, because then as a audience you're just like, wow, well now I'm bored because they can do whatever they want.
Mhm.
um but yeah, I felt like if they had picked, also with Beetlejuice's ex-wife, I thought she was gonna be the big bad of this movie. Like she was gonna be something they were trying to defeat or kill off or put back in her boxes. But then she was just kind of always in the background going, "Where's Beetlejuice?" And I'm like, you just passed
Yeah.
him down the hallway, but don't use your eyes or anything. It's fine.
Yeah, I definitely thought that like it was very much like with all the other plot points going on,
Mm-hmm.
it was very much like hard to keep track of, and then you have like the ex-wife stuff, and then they're trying to like they have to give like a background story, right, to like the ex-wife, but then like you just get like this 10-second background story
Yeah, I
of
love that it
Beetlejuice when
was
he was alive.
Beetlejuice in Italian. He was
Yeah.
speaking Italian the whole time, and I thought, and it was subtitled, and I'm like, this is hilarious. That was like one of the greatest parts of the movie, is he's just speaking like Italian, and it's subtitled, and so you have to like read his backstory, and it's like the fact that he was a grave robber totally tracks. I'm like, yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah, that
absolutely.
makes sense. That 100% kosher with why he is the way he is.
But yeah, it was definitely, I thought it was good. I thought it was definitely, it could have been better. But yeah, I agree, there's just a lot going on in this movie. Um
Which I
I
feel
do
like
want to
if
say,
it was a mini series, all of those plot points would have worked.
yeah.
But as a movie, it just felt like you were trying to cram so much stuff in.
And then you have to like try and wrap everything up, all these different plot points in an hour and a half, and it's like, okay, so we're just okay. All right, we're moving on. Um I do think Bob deserved so much better.
Rest in peace, Bob. We love
Poor
you.
Bob.
We're a Bob account
R.I.P.
here.
We're
I
Bob
did
stands.
love, yeah, I loved him in his little Beetlejuice suit. He looks
Yeah.
so cute with his little green hair. And
Oh.
I'm like, oh, Bob. I also like when all the other Bobs escaped, when Beetlejuice comes like barging
Yeah, they're
in
just
and
running
punches a
around.
hole, and they all just immediately book it, and I'm like, yeah, same. I would do the same if that happened at work. Somebody blows a hole in the wall, yeah, I'm gonna leave too.
Yeah, I'd be like, bye.
But
Poor
it's funny
Bob.
because, yeah, Rain brought up, she's like, what happened to them? And I'm like, I think they're just out in the world now.
They're
They're
just
just doing
chilling.
Bob things, yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty harmless. They can't
Yeah,
really do
they're just
much.
scary looking, that's all.
Yeah, they're just a little creepy looking, but
Yeah.
um today at Walmart I saw a like Bob plushie, and I was like, that's
Oh,
amazing. Poor Bob. I love Bob.
I
That Bob
know.
was the best part of the movie, honestly.
Yeah. and they killed him, and I'm like, how
I
dare
know!
you?
I'm like, why would you do that? It's always the best
Oh.
side characters that
Mm-hmm.
get killed off. And it's like, why are
Yep.
you doing that? They deserve so much better.
Yeah, justice for Bob.
Justice for Bob, for real. um, um, I was gonna say something, but I completely forgot what it was.
I loved Delia in this movie, Catherine O'Hara's character.
Mm-hmm.
She, first of all, if you haven't watched the show Schitt's Creek on Netflix, she
I have
Delia
not.
reminds me of Catherine O'Hara's character in Schitt's Creek. They're just very over dramatic, and you're just like, how could you be this way, but also don't stop being this way because you're amazing and you're like dressed
Mm-hmm.
fabulous the whole time. I loved every single moment of her in this movie except her death. I thought that was,
I
as soon
know.
as she said she bought snakes that were defanged, I'm like, they're not going to be defanged. She's going to get bit and she's going to die. I thought they would bring her back from the dead, but they just left her. She's just in the underworld now.
Yeah, and what a terrible way to die.
Yeah.
Especially when her husband, her late
Got eaten by
husband,
a shark.
got bitten in half by a
Just a big.
shark.
I like that it like totally just took like the whole top half of his body, and you
Yeah,
just see the
but he can
nice,
still
perfect
talk.
little. Yeah. He still had a voice.
I like that
I
it
was
was
like,
like I like that it was like gargled too, as if he was like had like blood in his throat. And I'm like,
yeah,
there's nothing. How is he talking?
yeah.
What is happening?
It kind of reminded me. I don't know if you ever saw the Disney movie Onward, where the
Mm-mm.
dad is supposed to like come back from the great beyond, but he's like literally a pair of legs. That's what it reminded me of. Except in Onward, he couldn't talk, so he just had to figure out how to communicate with his legs. So I almost kind of wish they would have done that because that would have been hilarious. But I was funny because when he popped up, and my mom was like, "I wonder why they didn't bring like the original guy who played Charles back." Well, apparently he's in some legal hot water because he's a creep.
Oh,
So that's why
nice.
he wasn't. Yeah, so that's why he wasn't invited to Beetlejuice because they went, we can't have you on this film. So that kind of sucks when people do stupid things and ruin what could have been.
Ruin the potential for sequels. How dare you?
Yeah, yes. So if you ever become famous, don't be a garbage person. That's all I have to tell you. Uh, just don't do it. But I was very excited that a lot of the other original cast. I love Danny DeVito in the beginning.
Oh, I know. I was
I
like, Danny
literally,
DeVito is in everything. I swear to God.
yeah. And I didn't even have to see the front of him. Literally, it
Oh,
just showed him from
absolutely.
behind, and I was like, "That's Danny
Absolutely.
DeVito."
I'm like, is it fucking Danny DeVito? Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
and then it just
Absolutely.
pans to the front. And you're like, "Yep, it is." Um, but yeah, so I love that. I love the aesthetic of this movie is very much on par with the first one. I do like that they used a lot of the same techniques and things like that, so that was very fun to see. Some of their song choices in this movie were really good, and some of them I thought were too slow. But for the most part, it was still really good. And I do like that Beetlejuice and Lydia were in their original
The original
costumes.
costumes. Yeah, the red
Yeah,
dress.
yeah. So that was very
Yeah.
good to see. And I love the
Yeah, they
sandworm.
definitely.
He's so
Uh,
cool.
I know. I want a sandworm, but like a good one
One that
that
doesn't
won't eat
eat
me.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I thought it was definitely. It did pay good homage to the first movie, but I think, as you said earlier, they definitely
Too much
with that.
homaging.
Yeah, too much homaging. Like it's definitely Beetlejuice.
Yes.
They didn't change. Like obviously they had to like change stuff, but
A little bit, but like
yeah,
they didn't
they
change a
kept
whole
it.
lot.
Yeah, they kept it pretty much the same story essentially.
Yeah.
Um, But I don't know where I was going with that. I'm kind of just talking.
Yeah, I almost wish because so like we're supposed to be theoretically in my mind we'd be focusing on Astrid, which is Lydia Dietz's daughter, um,
Yes.
which is all fine and dandy, except that um Lydia's husband is dead. He died like years ago when Astrid was like 8 or whatever, which is fine, except we don't know what he looks like until like we literally see him in the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
But
Covered in
also like
fishies.
yeah, covered in piranhas. Uh, but I don't have like any connection with him. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh, okay. Like anytime Astrid is complaining that she only has one parent and she thinks Lydia's a hoax, I'm like, okay, well, your dad's dead. Wah wah. Like, get over it. But like, because we don't know, like, honestly, there is no like pre story of how Lydia felt about her husband.
Yeah, you don't really
Like,
know anything about like Lydia
because,
and
yeah, if they're
him
on the
and
verge of
them.
divorce, then it's like, okay, well, I can see why she's not sad. But also, like, if she was madly in love with her husband, then why isn't she more sad, you know?
Yeah.
Or, like,
Y-
talks about him. And then she sent her daughter to boarding school. It's like,
Yeah, I think they
probably,
yeah, I think that they could have done without that little side plot.
yeah,
I mean, it kind of it does wrap everything up, but
yeah,
it it does kind of feel like you don't really get much of it. You don't get
no,
like a lot of like Lydia and Astrid's like previous, like obviously they don't like each other,
yeah.
or she doesn't like
Now, but it's
Lydia.
like
Yeah.
like before he died, because I know like Astrid very much talks about her father as being basically like her person, like her partner in crime. But
Hmm.
like, what was her relationship with her mom before he died?
Yeah.
Because like, did she believe in Lydia and that she saw ghosts, or did she always think her mom was a hack? Like, there's no like. I understand they're supposed to be mother and daughter and that they are supposed to have a strained relationship, but we don't necessarily know why it's strained except for the fact that Lydia can't see her
Yeah.
husband, like
Hmm.
his dead soul. Like she never sees him as a ghost, which I thought that plot point was going to be like they never find him in the underworld and somebody like happens to tell them that yeah, he got on the soul train and went into the great beyond. Like he was okay with leaving them in the real world because they had each other and not that
Hmm.
he was stuck in the underworld working a crappy window ticket
Desk job.
operator desk job. Yeah. So I was kind of sad that they didn't put at least a little more effort into that family plot line because I think it would have made it
Hmm.
stronger. But also,
Yeah.
Lydia's like, when Beetlejuice is like, well, you can marry me and then we can go on the world together and find your daughter. And she's just like, okay. And I'm like, wait, back it up. Wasn't that the whole point of the first one was she didn't want to marry Beetlejuice?
Right. That was the whole point, is that they should not get married, and
Yeah. And
and
then
now
at
you're
this
like,
one they were
yeah,
just
this is
like,
fine.
yeah, they're like, let's go. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? So I wish, like, I think that plot point is funny, but I wish it would have been a more dramatic affair. Like, I feel like Beetlejuice would have shot cannons from the roof or, something really dramatic and very Beetlejuice of him to do. But
Hmm.
he just, like, made her sign the contract and then was, like, skippity hop into the underworld.
Yeah. I also did not like, what was his name?
Oh, Rory? Rory?
Rory.
Yeah, I think it's
Was that
Rory.
his
Let me
name?
see. I don't know. Let me look. Let me see. Yeah, Rory.
Um.
The second he showed up, I'm like, ooh, he's creepy. He's doing something
Oh my
nefarious
gosh. Yes. And I was like, this is. And then they were supposed to get married on
on
Halloween, which was two
Halloween
days later
at
after her
midnight.
dad's funeral.
Yeah. It was so
proposed
weird that
at her
he
dad's
proposed at
funeral.
yeah, it was so weird. It
I
was
was
so
like, if somebody
awkward.
did that to me, I would be like, get out. You need to
Yeah.
get in your car and drive away and never see me again.
See, and I thought that was there was going to be like two options for Lydia. Was either one, she was going to tell him to get the heck out and
Hmm.
to go jump off a cliff, and then he would somehow like sneak back in and try to like force her to marry him, or that I don't know. I mean, like I just her awkward like sure. It's like no.
Yeah, and it's like, we all know this is not a good idea. Also, it's very strange that whole thing was so weird and he was so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Ugh.
also how stereotypical of a plot point can you get than creepy dude preying on helpless woman because she has money?
Yeah,
Like I was
pretty
like we
much.
couldn't have thought of something else? Like maybe like he wanted to like I don't know somehow take her power or I almost kind of wish which it would probably wouldn't have mattered because Lydia can see the dead, but like the whole plot point with Astrid falling in love with the dude from the treehouse and it turns out he's actually already dead.
Hmm.
I almost wish that would have been a plot point for Lydia. Like that Rory was already dead, but she was so blinded by grief that she didn't realize that he was already dead. You know?
Hmm. Yeah, I could see that. I
But they were just
also, yeah,
yes.
that one was also, like I said, it was just all so much. Like, there's so many different aspects trying to come together. Like that one where it's like, oh, okay, now we're focusing on this, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but honestly, I thought that was like the better of the plot points in the movie. I thought
Mhm.
that like it was crazy that he was just dead and also that he
Was the
killed his
murderer.
parents. Yeah, and
That
that
was the
like
one twist in this movie that I really liked cuz I thought he was going to I thought like his dad would have murdered him or something. Like, you know, something really sad and be like, "Okay, now I understand why you want to live." But the fact that he was already the murderer,
yeah. And then like in the craziest ways, like his mom had like a, I
an
don't even
egg
know what it
beater
was.
thing in her
Yeah, like in
eye.
her face.
Yeah. What did his
I'm like,
dad
that's
have?
crazy.
I don't
I don't
remember.
even remember
He
what
had
it
something with his
was.
face.
Yeah.
Something about his face. Um but yeah, I thought that was really interesting. But I also wish they would have played more into it because obviously Astrid has the same gift as her mom,
Hmm.
but I feel like she has actively chosen to ignore it. Like she's ignored every single sign because her mom can't do the one thing that she wants. So I almost wish we would have seen her struggle a little more with like not believing and just being like, "Oh, that was a weird trick of my imagination." Or, "Oh, I'm really tired. I must, need another Red Bull or something." Like I wish she would have struggled with it more.
Hmm.
But that's where I think like if they had picked like 2 out of the 5 million plot lines that they had in here, I think it would have
Right,
done a
and like
lot
really
better.
focused more on those instead of
Yeah.
everything and trying to just wrap everything up by the end of the movie. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that would have been a lot better. Um, I agree. I think they could have definitely picked like that one and
Mhm.
one of like they could have done with I honestly I did not care for the ex-wife stuff. I was like I don't
It was really
I'm
it
over
felt
it.
really
It was
random.
yeah, it was so random. It was like this just random character just here
Yeah.
just trying to do some side work. She's on a
Yeah.
side quest
Yeah.
and but
But
like
we
nobody
follow the
really
side quest and it's like, why am I following the side quest?
yeah,
We
even though
don't
like
need to.
nobody really cares about the side quest. It's just kind of like there in the background. Like she's not really like doing too much. Like she's
Yeah.
like taking people's souls, but she's not
But she only
you know.
kills like 3 people
Yeah, she's not
like that
like
we
destroying
see.
everything. So it's not like
Like
you
if
have
she
to
was ripping apart the underworld, that would be different because then
yeah, like
everybody would be like, we got to get rid of her.
right, like we
You got
got to
to do something.
yeah, but it's like she's just kind of there. She's just kind of causing some havoc, but like nothing to really worry about. So like I was kind of bored with that one. I was like I'm over this. Like, I don't really care for this one, to be
Yeah, because
honest.
she popped in at the most random
I
times. I'm
know.
like, it would have been more interesting if, like, she had somehow, like, been near when he was, like, getting Lydia to sign the contract that they're married, or, like, if she
Yeah.
was kind of constantly always around the corner, or Beetlejuice was always, like, right out of her grasp, then it would have been a little more interesting. And if we had just seen like little tidbit, like, a hand reach after him, or like a door open and then he goes out one and she comes in the other, kind of thing. But they were always like, it felt very far apart. Like she wasn't even close to being on his
Yeah.
trail.
Yeah.
And I'm like, girl, we
Um,
gotta move faster. You gotta step it up.
I will say I did like Willem Dafoe in
This is
this
probably
movie.
one of the most iconic characters he has ever played. I love it.
I
He's
love
a
it
he's
so
an
much.
actor that wanted to be a cop. I like that his secretary comes in with a cup of coffee every time, like he's like gonna have a breakthrough or give instructions. And I love the one scene where he's giving like his big spiel to like the cops, the line of cops, and she's standing behind all of them on a stool with
Mhm.
cue cards for him to read. I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I also love that, like, all of his poses and, like, the side
Oh,
of his head that's just, like, scraped
just
off.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, he was fantastic. The casting of this movie was truly amazing.
Yes,
Um,
for sure.
Probably one of the best parts about this movie was the casting. Like, they had enough of the old cast and some really good,
New.
like, new cast. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was like, to me that was probably the best part, was the casting,
For
in
sure.
my opinion.
Yeah. The only thing too, like I love Jenna Ortega, especially having her next to Winona Ryder is like truly an iconic duo.
Mhm.
But when I was watching her story, like being at boarding school, and then like the first, like quote unquote first ghost she comes across is a cute boy her age. It read very Wednesday, which I know is also
Yeah.
Tim
Mhm.
Burton, and so he's gonna kind of drag that around. But I feel like that's kind of putting her into a box a little bit. Like she's always going to be kind of
Yeah.
this kind of character, even though she is an absolutely amazing actress. So I almost wish they would have done something like a little. I almost wish instead of a romantic interest, it was like a best friend situation, like a girl her age
Mhm.
that was like, and then they just like really connected and we're like, yeah, we get it. And because like honestly, for like a lot of my friends, I'd die for you. I'd switch my life for you. So I
Yeah.
feel like that kind
Mhm.
of relationship would have been, or if it had been because she's an only child, if it had been somebody younger than her and been like a big sister, or little brother relationship would have been kind of cool too.
Mhm.
But yeah, it all read very Wednesday Adams, which don't get me wrong, I
Yeah.
love Wednesday, but
I haven't seen Wednesday, but I definitely could feel that vibe.
yeah. Yeah, see, you don't
Um,
even have to have seen the show to
yeah.
understand that it's very
Like,
Wednesday
she's
coded.
Wednesday, yeah, and it's the like weird, quote unquote weird outcasty kid.
Mhm.
Um she gets like, you know,
Or
either
I
way.
almost wish they would have pushed her into like, because a lot of times when kids don't like their parents or don't want to be anything like their parents, they go for the extreme opposite. So I almost wish she would have been like a girly pop, like
Mhm.
she would have been basically Sharpay Evans. I think that would have been hilarious.
Mhm.
But something different. Something,
Yeah,
there was
something
so
different.
much
Absolutely.
like, I feel like Tim Burton is really known for this like weird, kooky sense of like style, both in his directing and just the aesthetic of his films. But they all read very differently. But this was the one that I felt like read like a lot of other things he has done in the past. So it was this weird like mosh of things that didn't quite like connect right,
Mhm.
So it felt like I feel like I had seen this movie already by the time it was done.
Yeah. Absolutely. I definitely agree. It was they could have definitely gone a different directive with it.
Yeah.
Not the best sequel to ever exist, that's for
No.
sure. The
Yeah.
original, so much better. Um, I just want to watch the original now.
I know, right? Exactly. As soon as it was over, I was like, I really want to watch the original because I didn't get to watch it before I went and saw this one. So it's on my spooky time list this year for sure. Um, but it's also hard because this year's the year of sequels,
Mm-hmm.
and so this not connecting very well with the first one, you start going, well, like Deadpool and Wolverine, as it's technically the third, but a sequel nonetheless. Like that sequel was way better as a sequel than the Beetlejuice and Beetlejuice.
Yes, absolutely. Oh
And then
yeah,
we've got so many sequels this year. We've got Gladiator 2 and a bunch of other stuff.
Twister.
Yeah, Twisters. So it's like it's not the best sequel out of all the sequels to be made this year, and we haven't even seen all of them yet, but it's definitely not the best one.
Yeah, which is
I
sad
think
because especially
yeah.
in the year of sequels, it's like Beetlejuice is. I feel like Beetlejuice is such an iconic, classic
Mhm.
like movie
Yeah.
that when the sequel it just doesn't hit the spot just right.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
Yeah.
satisfy that itch, you know,
Mhm.
being
Yeah.
a Beetlejuice fan. Yeah. Um what was I going to say? Words are tough today, you know.
Yeah. I feel like the plot in the first movie was very simple, that it allowed all of the like practical effects and the artwork and the style of the movie to really stand out. Whereas this one, because it's so convoluted, that you don't pay attention to the aesthetic as much, because it is a beautiful film. It's a very Tim Burton-esque film, which I love. I think one of my favorite shots in the movie is when we see the Deet's house on the hill covered in that black fabric.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Ah, stunning. I was just like, of course she would have like a mourning shroud for her house. Cause why would she not? But yeah, it just felt like it was very, they kept redirecting us to the underworld for everything. And I'm like, okay, but we have stuff happening up top too. Like it's not all about the underworld. So yeah, it had a really weird like flipping back, and like it was like take turns with, oh, don't forget, we're still doing the story with the ex-wife, and then it's like, just kidding, now we're back to Astrid, and now we're gonna go to Lydia, but now we're gonna go back to the ex-wife, now we're gonna look at
Mhm.
Bob, and it's like, can we can look at Bob a little more, but can we pick one focus? It is allowed to be Bob and something else.
Yeah, especially with the first movie, because the first movie, like you were saying, is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like the scenery. I'm glad that I still have like the bridges and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Because that obviously very iconic bridges.
Yes.
Um, but I yeah, I wish they would have done more with the house because
Yeah.
obviously the house is very iconic and
Mm-hmm.
like they kind of were just like, yeah, the house is here, the house is gonna go away, but the house
Yeah.
is still here. It was very weird, but because I feel like in the first movie the house is such a big part. Like it is, it's
Yeah.
the one
It's
of the
the
main
main.
parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, of the movie. So the fact that they were kind of just like it was just kind of there.
Yeah, it didn't really provide much this time, which is so sad
Yeah.
because again, it's a stunning house.
Yeah, and it's a very iconic, like that shot of the house is so iconic.
Mhm.
So yeah, I wish they would have done more with that because I love all the stuff with the house and uh yeah, I agree.
Just yes. Um but yeah, I felt like with the house, cuz obviously they had the model of the town was still there, which was really cool
Hmm.
to see. I felt like they we spent way too much time looking at it though. Like Tim Burton was like, we're going to go through every single street on this model so that you can look at all of it. And I was like, alrighty. So I think
Alrighty.
they definitely could have like shortened a lot of that and then would have had more time for storylines.
Yeah.
Um yeah, the ex-wife, like, again, the very few advertisements, because I try to avoid ads like the plague, but the advertisements I did see really painted the ex-wife as the main, like, problem in this movie. Like, she was going to be constantly getting in the way or trying to, like, capture Beetlejuice, but then maybe Lydia would have to, like, free him out of whatever because she needed him to save her daughter. But they were just, she was a weird side story, and I feel like if they were going to do that, they should have just done a Beetlejuice origin story or made
Yeah.
it shorter.
Hmm.
Or
I
somehow,
agree.
because the ex-wife and Lydia never really interacted except in the church at the end.
Yeah, except for at the very end. Yeah. Yeah, and you would think that they would be like Lydia would be more of a problem for her. Like she'd be
Yeah.
like, "Hey,
Yeah,
you
she'd
need
be like,
to."
"Hey, you can't marry him because I have to finish marrying him first," or something, like, like
Yeah, like
she
something.
yeah, and then she in turn would like go after Lydia instead, and then Beetlejuice would be like, "Absolutely not." So there could have, I feel like there wasn't a lot of conflict in this movie. Like, it was always like they were missing, they were like ships in the night. They were like passing each other but never really interacting.
Mhm.
So I think
Yeah.
it needed more
It just
conflict,
needed
more, just
yeah.
something, more
Yeah,
focus.
overall, yeah, like I said, like we were saying overall they should have picked two main plot points and focused on them and went into detail because they could have still done like references to the first movie
Yeah, without it
and
being a copy and
yeah,
paste.
and still being able to go into detail with the references and like they should have just done that.
Yeah.
Remake the movie. Make the third one a
There
little
have
bit
been
better.
changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like if they had given us more of a connection, like either more of a connection with Beetlejuice's ex-wife or more of a connection with Lydia's dead husband, like I feel like those we would have, if they had given just like a few extra scenes more with one of those, then we would have had more of a personal connection with those characters and would have been sad that we hadn't seen any of their relationship on screen
Yeah.
except for these tiny tidbits.
Mhm.
But again, they're just like skimming on the detail. So I feel like they went too simple with each storyline, but too many storylines. So it's the
Yeah.
wrong kind of complicated.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like there was just not enough detail. It wasn't like
Hmm.
overly detailed where you're like what is going on even what is even going on anymore?
Yeah.
It was like what is going on? There's so much happening. Everybody's doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, how did you not see that person walk that way? Or how have you not run into each other? Because, like, at one point, everybody is in the underworld, and they don't
Mhm.
really make it feel like the underworld is very big. So it's like, how have you not, like, crossed paths with each other at some point?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like if they like you were saying earlier if they did a mini series that would have been so much better
Yeah.
cuz
Because
they
then
could
they
have
could have
gone into
literally done an
yeah.
episode per little plot line.
Yeah, exactly. And then we would be able to it like I said with like the stuff with Astrid
Hmm.
and trying to get out of the underworld. Like literally Corey was like, "Oh, it's just done. She's just done
Yeah.
with
She
she's just
figured it
out."
out.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess."
Yeah, and then that's when like the overpowering of Beetlejuice comes in because he just like throws the kid into like a pit,
Yeah.
and then that solves their problem. Like
Yeah, like they're
Astrid's
just
soul is
done.
saved and they can leave.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
where
like,
are the
okay.
police for this place? Like, the underworld is normally notoriously guarded. Like, how are people just like, I get it's Beetlejuice, but
I
how are they all just willy nilly in and out of the underworld like it's nothing?
right. Like they couldn't do that in the first movie.
Yeah. And then also, I'm thinking, like, because obviously, like, I'm assuming that Lydia loved her husband, and is very grateful because obviously that's how she got her daughter. But like the fact that she just like without hesitation married Beetlejuice, I almost feel like that should have been like if she was truly in love with her husband, that should have been a struggle for her. I also think they should
Hmm.
have moved his death. Like it should have only been like a year because then that would make sense why Astrid would want to immediately push her away because she can't see him.
Yeah.
Drastic
Also,
changes.
I wish they would have done something different with his death. Like, I feel like it was too close to like Charles's death.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it was both like sea related. Like, they should have made him, I don't know, like skydiving or something because he was like adventurous, you know?
Yeah.
Like, or, you know, did Charles did something? Because it was like Charles literally was, his death was so random.
Yeah, I also like that his death is the one that we got the most detail about. Like Charles
I
literally
know.
could have been his own little mini episode and it would have felt complete. Like you would have been like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then like move on to the next character. But like he was the only one that we got a complete like little arc of what happened to him and like cuz I mean, he's wandering around the underworld with no head.
Yeah.
So you
No
can
upper
understand,
half.
yeah, you can understand why it's going to take him a hot minute to figure out where he's going because he can't see anything.
Yeah. I know. I like how the like receptionist is like so rude to him,
Yeah.
and he's like
So,
got no idea what's going on.
yeah. But his little like claymation of his death was that was adorable. I wish they would have done that more than once in the
Yeah.
movie. But I feel like they presented like an effect and then that was the only time you ever saw it. Like the
Yeah.
sandworm is honestly the only thing we ever saw twice.
Mm-hmm.
But like Danny DeVito's character, saw him once. The ex-wife, we saw her kill like 4 people, so her effect was, a couple of times. But like anything else was just like, here it is once, and now you'll never see it again. You're like, oh,
You'll never
okay.
see me again. That's what she said.
But
Um. Mhm.
yeah. But I mean, it's still a Beetlejuice movie. It's still lots of fun. Like I said, I'll watch it again. But
Yeah, I'll probably watch it again. I think it just like makes me just want to watch the original. It makes me just love the
yes,
original even more.
yeah.
Um. I like I said earlier, the casting is the best part about this movie.
Mhm.
Um, the original cast is amazing. This cast is amazing. That is the one thing they have done very well throughout the Beetlejuice sequel and original.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel
So
like
I'll give them
almost
that.
like that's what they're going for is almost like a PR, just purely a PR move where they're like, well, if we bring up a sequel, then everybody will also watch the original and then we can re-release merch. The merch, I will say, has been top tier for this
Oh
movie.
my god, the merch. Listen,
So
that is
good.
one thing I love about the sequel is it's bringing back all this merch. And
Yes.
I'm like, I need all of it. And Beetlejuice has the best color
Color
scheme.
scheme. Yep.
Absolutely. That of like the green and the purple and the
And
blacks
black
and
and
the
white.
oh,
Mhm.
so good. Oh, I'm still on the hunt for that shirt from Walmart.
Okay, I'll keep
Um
my eyes peeled.
I still can't find it. And like it's September. I know I need to like relax a little bit, but
No, no relaxing.
I can't. I'm crazy.
But yeah, so the makeup collab with NYX, amazing. I still want the Bob makeup sponge because who doesn't? It comes in a little case that says "My name is Bob."
We love Bob.
Um,
We're Bob stands.
Bob stands here. If you don't like Bob, get out. Um, but yeah, and then I love that it's kind of like in all this. Like Walmart had a lot of stuff, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know NYX had stuff. Hot Topic has a ton. I'm pretty sure Box Lunch had a ton. So it's really cool and it's all different. Like sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
get certain movies, they just release the same product to different stores. So it's different prices from different places. But this one, they really like individualized. Each store had their own slew of merchandise. Forever 21 was the other one I keep getting an ad for. I'm like,
Oh, fantastic. I love
Yeah.
Beetlejuice. I love the Beetlejuice merch. Give it to me all.
Yeah.
Spirit Halloween has fantastic Beetlejuice stuff. Spirit Halloween always has amazing stuff. I've
Yeah.
been in
I
there
need to go.
once.
I
I've
need to
been in
go.
once. I need to go again because I love Halloween. Oh,
I
I'm so
know.
excited. We're going to
I
have
was
so
going to
much fun
take
on
us
this.
when you were here, but you had to leave early, so we didn't get to go.
Yeah.
Gosh darn.
But speaking of Spirit Halloween, we have
Yes.
a lot of very exciting spooky stuff planned.
Yes.
We're very excited. Spooky season
Is
for us
upon
really
us.
starts in July. After the 4th of July, spooky season is upon
Spooky
us. But
season. And then the
it is,
official is when the pumpkin spice starts in
yeah, so
September.
it's fall. It's fall, y'all. That's
It's
all I
fall.
care about. But we have very exciting stuff. I'm so excited.
Yes. We have it all planned
So
out. We have a theme this year. We're going extra spooky. Last year was a little spoopy. This year
yeah,
we're going full spooky.
it's
So
gonna be real
strap yourselves
scary.
in. It's gonna
Yeah.
be real scary. I'm gonna get. I already literally. I was researching one of the topics that we're gonna do, and it's the one I think that goes up the week of Halloween. Just from reading like descriptions of things, I'm already freaking myself out. So
So you better be very excited.
be
It's gonna
excited, be
be
prepared. It's gonna be
it's gonna
great.
be so fun. So you better subscribe now so you don't miss any of our spooky season because we're starting it early too.
Yeah. We're
We're gonna be
starting pretty
starting it.
much this episode is what will be kicking off
Yeah, kicking
spooky
off
week,
our
honestly.
spooky
Spooky
season.
week, spooky
So
season. I'm sorry, I have the YouTube lingo stuck in my head for spooky season, not week. Although speaking of YouTube, I am doing spooky season on Ye Old YouTube channel. I took a poll today, which I forced Casey and Wyatt to vote in so that I knew what to play. I will be starting with the Resident Evil, the first Resident Evil
yay!
game. So make sure to subscribe to youtube.com/Jamie Throws Confetti because I will be starting that. I do want to get both Casey and Wyatt in on some hide and shriek again
Yes,
because
that
I'm
was fun.
finally editing videos that I should have edited like almost a year ago. And
Okay.
I've been able to delete a lot of stuff. Like I finally got to delete all of that Nancy Drew mumbo jumbo off of my computer. That series is finished if you want to watch me and Casey being real dumb and not knowing how to Nancy Drew very well. But I got to delete so much stuff, but the hide and shriek stuff came up again, and I was like, oh, now I just want to play spooky games. But I have a few
Yes.
new gaming series going up, so check into that, check into spooky season. Like Casey said, we're excited for what is here on the podcast. So subscribe to wherever you're listening to. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media because that is where we will post everything and anything, particularly Instagram. I'm so sorry, TikTok. I have been super inactive.
We neglect some of them, but Instagram we keep up the most with.
Yes, Instagram is where you can always find us consistently, and also Facebook by default because Instagram and Facebook are owned by the same company. So you post to one, you post to the other, which is fabulous. But yeah, so subscribe, follow. There is still stickers available on my Etsy store if you want an official Two Nerds and a Podcast sticker. Take a look there. And I think that's all I have to say. Casey, anything
Yes.
else?
No, I think that was everything. I'm very excited
Excellent.
for spooky season.
It's going to be a good spooky season.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So you definitely don't want to miss out. And that's all I have to say. Mic drop.
Yes.
Boom.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.